Today we'll be working on a Rustic Farmhouse unbelievable home decor piece. We'll be focusing on using product from Reneabouquets.com. For this project, I chose this piece from our store. Now there's a couple other designs here that you can choose from. This one might work if you flip it over for a bee body. It could do the trick. But I chose this one because it already kind of has the pointy of the bee bottom, and maybe you just need to kind of shave that side a little bit, and it looks like it has a little head. So it would be perfect. If you don't have that, you could just use some kind of oval wood piece, or even just some foam board you can cut out of is fine. I'm going to be using these hearts, so the medium size, and then one of these round circles from the hanging sign. And I've got two of these boards, and I chose this board because of its softness. So here's the medium heart I'm going to use. I was originally going to use medium and small, but I chose the medium, and I went ahead as I traced it out. I made the one larger portion of the heart even wider going around. So I am just tracing it onto this board. Now I chose this particular board because it is more flexible, and it's not really wood-like. I think it's more like a pressed paper. So it is soft enough if you have some good heavy-duty scissors, a craft knife, so you can kind of cut out extra pieces. Take your heavy-duty scissors and you can just cut around this. You might have to make a little cut and then kind of come across, and cut off that excess to continue around to the next step, but it is doable. And if you have to use just like some foam board or something, that's perfectly wonderful too. So I'm going to get this cut out. I'm going to cut two of these out. And then once I get the shape cut out, I'm going to make sure that I sand it all really well. I just used my 80 grit sandpaper in my sand block. I've got all my pieces ready here, front and back. I've made sure the paper side that I sanded off around the edges because the edges will show. I'm taking the bottom off the sign. We are going to use it. And I am going to go ahead and kind of trim off this excess. You don't really need to, but I'm going to do it because it is on the back side and will get hidden. And then of course sand it off, and then make sure I sand off around the perimeter of the paper on the other side. Now I will be covering the entire back with black cardstock, and then I will use black cardstock on the front as well. So I've got the back all traced, but all my front pieces, I'm going to start with cardstock, and then I'm going to go around and I'm going to redraw a new perimeter about a 1/4 inch in, and then I'm going to cut that out of my black cardstock. By doing this, it allows about that 1/4 inch of our wood perimeter to show that we will paint, of course. And then I'm going to take this pattern and I'm going to do a secondary layer of paper on top. So I'll trace that out, draw a new perimeter about a 1/4 inch in, and cut that out. And then as you can see here, I've got kind of a double layer allowing each perimeter of the paper to show. And here's what it would look like on the wood, allowing that wood to show as well. Here are my wings. I didn't like them. They look too butterfly-y. So I took those wings, I drew them out and then drew a new pattern, and I'm going to just shorten them down and make them a little bit more rounder and a little bit more fatter. Now once all my pieces are cut out, I'm taking everything to the sewing machine. I just use an inexpensive sewing machine. You can see there's not many dials for fancy stitches. All polyester thread because that's what my machine likes. A size 10 needle, tension and thread length set on 4. This is what it looks like when it's all done and what all my papers will look like. I just like that extra little touch. Then I take the open end of my scissor blades to all my pieces and I scrape along the edges. I think this kind of gives it a little bit more of a rustic touch. You could of course leave both these options out if you want. I just like to add that little bit more detail to my projects. And you can see what it looks like here, especially with that white inner core showing. So my projects, most of my boards except for the wings, I'll be doing in the color Drop Cloth Chalk Paint by Dixie Belle. The rest will be in black. Caviar by Dixie Belle Chalk Paint, painting around the edges and the sides of all my pieces front and back. I've got a couple flat coffee stir sticks here and 2 wooden hearts, and then I'm adding 2 more pieces I cut out by hand. They're about 2.5 inches tall, 6 inches length, and we're going to make those into signs later. Using Beacon Fabri-Tac glue today, I've glued the cardstock onto the back of everything, so now we're just kind of going along and adding the front cardstock and pattern paper on top of everything. These are my little bumblebee stripes. As I got to gluing them down, I was like, I didn't show how I did them, so here's how I did them. I traced around my paper. I just did this all freehand, laid my wings on so I could kind of, trace where they come out at. And then I just kind of started down about 1 inch wide and just kind of a slight curve, drew 3 lines going across. well, 6 lines, 3 parts, so that I could double layer my papers. This is what it'll look like. Cut them out. That was it. That's how I did it. And of course, like I said, double layering my papers. Now we're coming in with my little hearts I added in. These are going to be kind of the top of our antenna, so I'm just adding the glue to all my pieces here, and we're going to get these glued onto the front and back of our hearts. Again, plain cardstock black on the back. Now you could just paint the back and not even add paper. You could just paint everything and not even add paper if you wanted. This can all be done with just a paint job if you didn't want it to add in, you know, scrapbook paper. I'm using these coffee stir sticks on the back. I thought I was going to need 2, only need 1, so I cut them in half, and that's what it'll look like. We'll just fit 1 on each side. We're going in now to, and we'll do that later, of course, we're going in now to add the paper to our wings. I've double layered here as well. I wanted to keep the wings, you know, kind of a soft, pale kind of cream shade, tiny tone of yellow in there. We'll come in for our little head. Now the head's where we're going to kind of fit our antenna. So first thing on the back, here you can see I had 2 coffee stir sticks. I only need 1. Cut it in half, probably 2.5 inches or so each stick. I just kind of, you know, just eyeballed it. We're going to go ahead and glue this onto our head, and then I want to take up the space that those coffee stir sticks are taking up. So I've cut some cardboard here. I'm going to layer just a little triangular piece in between the cardboard, and then I cut another piece here that's going to layer around those coffee stir sticks, and that will take up the space. So when we add our cardstock on the back, it's all nice and flat on the back side, all nice and level. Going to go ahead and add our design to the front here. I've got it all ready to go, and then we're going to go ahead and I'm going to add my body onto the head where I want it, and I'm going to mark it so I know where to glue, and I'm going to go ahead and, holding the wings the same time, also mark where I need to add the glue on the back of the wings. Now yes, you can see I added an extra head here. You don't have to do that. That shape that we had, it kind of has a cute head, so to speak, so you don't even have to add a head if you don't want to. So anyway, I went ahead and glued the head on. We've got the wings on. Now I'm gluing our hearts to the top of the antenna. And now I'm going to go ahead and start gluing on my stripes. Sorry, I'm a little bit off camera here. I get the bottom 2 glued on to the little bee bum, and then realize I glued the wings down, and now I got to peel it back off because I got to get that top stripe on. But never fear, that glue hadn't quite set up yet, so I was able to peel those off, get that stripe back on, and get those wings back into place without harming anything. Before we decorate, let's take a look at Reneabouquets product we'll be using. This is Beautiful Board laser cut chipboard set of 3 chain link frames. I'll use the smaller frame. This is Beautiful Board chipboard. These are beehive elements, 2 to a set. These are cool because you can cut them up. This is a set of 6 decorative clock hands in the medium size, so I'll use a couple of those. This is a stackable heart ATC tag set. You'll get 2 tags and 2 hearts, and you can see how thick Beautiful Board laser cut chipboard is and how sturdy it is. This is Sweet as Honey Beautiful Words in the medium size. These are Tuck It In Sweet Daisies printed Beautiful Board laser cut chipboard. Now these flowers are black because I sprayed them with a color spray that you can find at most craft stores, but they did start out as Reneabouquets mulberry flowers in white. I've also got Reneabouquets mulberry flowers mini black flowers set, and these are mulberry flowers Reneabouquets called Honey. And then I wasn't sure at the time what butterflies I'll be using, but I end up using the top ones, which are Delicate Beauty Butterfly Kisses. I'll use Silver Watch Cabochon as well as a Silver Metal Dream Key. Here's some new printed Beautiful Board laser cut chipboard product. These are sugar beehives. I'm going to use the small size here. This is a set of 9 ladybug set. So this one comes with flowers, ladybugs, you, me, and us. There's different sets you can look at. And so now we're going to start decorating things together here. I'm going to add this paper to the front of the ATC tag set, and I've got some cardboard here. I actually do 3 layers. I'm going to glue it to one side of this ATC tag because I know when I get my frame down here, and then I add my cabochon watch here as well, it's going to need some cardboard to kind of level up and take the space here. Added cardboard to the watch there so it lays nice and level over that frame. Get this put on here, and then add our cute sugar beehive, and then of course put the heart on the ATC tag. I'm going to add some sisal here in the center just to give us a little texture underneath all the flowers and things that we'll be gluing down. And then I'm going to start tucking in some of the sweet daisy tuck-ins, and of course adding down the Reneabouquets flowers as well as a few flowers from my own supply. Add a little cardboard under this flower because it needed to be raised up a little bit, bringing in those beautiful honey wild roses flowers here. I love them because these are just a real nice light pale yellow of color flowers. So here's some of the beehive elements I cut apart, and I spray painted these in black so they would kind of stand out just a little bit. Also spray painted the clock hands. I'm going to tuck those in among the flowers. I love tucking things in and around the flowers. I just think it just adds a real subtle detail, and you get to use all these pieces you wanted to use. Tucking in some more of those sweet daisy tuck-ins, adding even more flowers, adding in the other clock hands. So of course got one to the right, one to the left, adding in the Delicate Beauty butterfly kisses. And then I'm going to use the honey of that sweetest honey here along with a wood heart because bees love honey, right? And then adding the Silver Dream Key down here in the lower left of the flowers. And I'm adding a little metal brad that says 24 on it because I've got that Silver Dream Key and that silver cabochon watch. I want to add a third element of metal in there, and the 24 signifies, of course, 24 hours a day type thing. That one quote says live life in full color, and I'm using some Reneabouquets. It's Gaudy Girl Chunky Glitter Glass and Diamond, and I like to just use my mixed media medium gel here. It's kind of like a clear transparent glue. I put it on with my paintbrush, and then I dump the glitter glass all around it, and then I just add that in the different areas that I want, and then I of course turn it over and tap off the excess. Another piece of beehive element here we're going to glue to our sign, and then of course sweet from the sweetest honey onto, I've got black cardstock here onto some cardboard, and then the rest of this quote for the sign says summertime, using my Cricut design space with the fonts Bodini, Quindella, and Hey Magnolia. So we'll glue down the cardstock first on the front of the sign. Of course the cardstock's already glued on the back, and then we'll glue down our decorative paper with the quote on there, and then we'll glue the sweet on kind of sideways to give it a cute little element there. Gorilla Glue, I used to glue my bumblebee onto that bottom half of this sign we started with. Remember I said we were going to use it, and remember I also said I made two signs here, so I'm going to glue the decorative one to the front of this bottom portion, and then the other one to the back, so that will act like a counterweight and make sure that this bumblebee stays standing up. And it worked. Once this is glued on, this project is complete. So I hope you like how this project turned out. I think we took rustic and farmhouse combination. We just elevated it to a whole new pretty using product from Reneabouquets.com. Leave me a comment down below and let me know if you liked this project. Please give this video a thumbs up. And if you like what you saw today and you're not a subscriber to this channel, go ahead and hit the red subscribe button and notification bell so you don't miss out on a single video. I will have all the links to the product I use from Reneabouquets in the description box, so if there's something you like and you just gotta have it, click on that link and we'll take you directly there. I thank you for sharing your time with me, and I'll talk with you again soon.